Hello everyone, and today I'll be showing you how to make your navigation system dynamic during runtime. And we'll be talking about the generated off mesh link. In our previous video, we talked about how to make your navigation system and bake your data. Now we are going to continue to that video. In our last video, we talked about the Nav Mesh Obstacle. This basically create an obstacle in our navigation data and create a hole, so it's not every time you move an object you need to bake again. As you can see, it creates a hole. But we have a problem. If you run the game, simply the second cube has a animation script that move it right and left. As you can see, this cube still hold the hole in the navigation system, while the other is moving, it doesn't do anything. And our agent will not try to avoid it no matter what. While the other, well, the agent will try to avoid it and act as an obstacle. Now, why that is happening? Simply because we need to go to our cube, to our Nav Mesh Obstacle, we need to disable the only stationary. This will tell our navigation system that this object can be moved. Let's try that again. As you can see, there is the hole have been created in our data. So this is an obstacle and this work in runtime. And all our agents try to avoid that moving obstacle as much as possible. Let me try to do it now. As you can see, our agent tries to avoid that moving up. Now, if you're not satisfied with the obstacle avoidance, you can simply go to the agent and change its set. Because as you can see now, our agent is trying to avoid the moving obstacle. But is it moving it or avoiding it properly? Maybe yes or maybe not. And you can change these settings with our agent. Go to our agent. You can use the avoidance obstacle here, like increase the radius and make these settings as much as you want. Of course, this will depend on your game and your need. Try now. Well, probably for the better. Now, of course, you can apply this for all your agents and any obstacle. If your obstacle is actually will move in runtime, or you can apply the physics rules for it, disable the only stationary. So telling the navigation system that this object can be moved or it is affected by anything. While if you enable stationary only, that means that in runtime this obstacle will not be moved at all. And for our agent, you can actually modify the avoidance settings. Of course, you can change the speed of our agent, the angular speed, our acceleration, and the stop distance. And all these settings are actually self-explanatory. Now let's talk about off mesh link. Of course, you know, in the previous video, we baked our system based on this plane. And now if I'm going to duplicate it, move it a little far, I'm going to our navigation system and I will try to bake again. As you can see here, our data has been based on both planes. But if we try to play the game, we can see that our agent can't reach the second area. And here what comes of the generated mesh. The generated off mesh links allow the agent to go from one place to another, either by jumping or it's a cliff, or if there was a gap, same as here, the agent can actually pass through. We need to go to our navigation settings, go to objects. As you can see, we have the generate off mesh links. We need to enable that. We need to enable that to our second plane. We need to go to our bake setting. We need to define the distance that allow this agent to travel. What is the jump distance and what is the height distance that this agent is allowed to pass off. I'm going to set like to 4, height to 2, and we need to bake. As you can see, Unity simply generate an off mesh links. This allow our agent to pass from this plane to another, while this gap exists in both our data. As you can see, it simply can't travel between this plane and another. It's like jumping. Now, there is a problem in this generated off mesh link. If you have a big map or a big terrain and you set to generate an off-mesh link to that terrain, baking your data might take longer than it needs, because in this case the navigation system will try to look on every possible option an agent can pass through, or an agent can climb or jump in every possible area in your terrain. Now in my case there's only two planes, which is the options, as you can see, are very limited, but with a huge map it will take longer and longer time. And here we get the off mesh link component. We can simply do that manually. I will simply create a new game object. I'm going to add the off mesh link component. Now I'm going to add child 3D object. Now this cube will be the start and this will be the end. Now as you can see, I can manually define the off-mesh link areas. Instead of making Unity actually go through all options, I can basically set what I want the agent to jump or to climb and what not to. I'm going to clear my data. I'm going to turn off the generated off-mesh links for our planes. And I'm going to bake again. And we're going to test. As you can see, our agents simply use our off-mesh link component to travel from this plane to another. This allows us to put jump areas for our agents wherever we want. And if we don't want to, we can simply not add the off-mesh link component. And of course, we have the settings here. What areas to define for this off-mesh link, if this is a walkable area or not, and what creature or agent can go through and not. And we can make this bidirectional. That means that the agent can go through both ways, in and out. For example, if I remove this, this means that the agent can go one area but can't go back. As you can see, my agent can't find a way because this off-mesh link is only one way. If we enable that again, well, it's now in and out. And of course you can disable it anytime you want. Now our agent can't find a path because simply our off-mesh link is actually disabled. And we can update our position. For example, this is a moving platform. We need to enable the auto update position, and basically these are the informations you need to know if you want to make your navigation system dynamic. Alright, I hope you enjoyed this video and would like to see you on the next